Up next is my very special guest, the American multi-instrumentalist, producer, composer, Scott Mayo. Scott Mayo, welcome to the program. So nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Oh, Meu Brasil is the name of your album. And wow, you have an incredible orchestra here. Você já foi à Bahia? Composition by Dorival Caymmi. Wonderful. How did you get into these sounds and the groove and the Brazilian music?
I started listening to Brazilian music when I was a kid. My parents always used to play Sergio Mendes all the time. So I would hear it all the time, and I started listening to his music, and I started taking note of all the musicians. So I'd go to the record store and try to find out who these other musicians were, and it started when I was a kid.
The thing is to get the groove, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Listening and getting into the spirit of the song.
Absolutely.
In this song here, you have everything Brazilian. Take a listen. So you play all the instruments, the flutes, the saxophone,
the
clarinets,
yeah.
and one by one, and putting together this wonderful, the phrasing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about the arrangements, because you also work with Sergio Mendes, and all that beautiful sound that you hear is you playing and arranging.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you try to listen as much as you can, and for me, I just would really study the work of all the beautiful, great Brazilian arrangers, and I just fell in love with all of it, and I wanted to try to do it as best I could. So that's what I do with Sergio.
Right. And what are the bands that you heard that you felt connected with from Brazil?
Sergio Mendes, Caymmi, Dorival, Ivan Lins, João Gilberto.
All the
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 greats.
cream of the Simply love it. This is called Magic.
Yes.
Tell us about this composition.
This is a song that I wrote with Sergio Mendes, and I wrote this song. And
Title track of the album.
It's the title track of his album, Magic,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and I went to his house with my keyboard, and he set up his keyboard, and I put my laptop between the two of us, and we just started playing together. And this is what we came up with fairly quickly with this song.
Beautifully, and the Brazilian soul, indeed.
Thank you.
Must be a lot of joy for Sergio as well to be able to write something with you right here in LA with somebody who works with him all the time.
Yeah,
it's like a finding and something very, very special.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean the special part is for him to be able to be a part of my life. Really.
Yes,
he's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time and your music schooling, and how did music come to your life?
I started as a little boy. I was 8 years old. I started on clarinet in the band.
Really? School band?
In the school band. I was 8 years old, and that's when I started.
And then?
And then I just kept playing. And then I went to school. I went to college for music.
Yes.
And then I moved to LA and I started making a living.
Like professionally,
yeah.
And how old were you when you started?
21. I started when I was 8 and I moved out here when I was 21.
So all these years preparing for a professional career.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Brazilian music, but there was a time that you worked with hip-hop, rap, and for a long time.
For a long time, yeah. For almost a decade of my life, I was a hip-hop producer.
And who were the musicians?
I worked with Queen Latifah. I worked with Jazzy Jeff. I worked with Tone Loc.
Incredible.
I did like a lot of different.
10 years, a long time.
10's a long time. Yeah.
What about those days? Incredible.
I miss those days. I miss those days. Yeah, the energy in the studio was really fun.
Incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about Meu Brasil, your latest album, and you dove into the spirit and soul of Brazilian music, and which is very, very challenging and beautiful at the same time. So you mentioned the musicians that you always listened to early on, Sergio Mendes and all the greats. But it's listening is one thing, but absorbing and being able to play and write is another. Tell us a little bit about Meu Brasil and the process of recording Meu Brasil.
Well, for me, again, it's not just listening, but it's also playing. So
exactly.
I've been pretty blessed, and I've worked with a lot of amazing Brazilian musicians who always gave me room to learn and to grow, and to have somebody like Dori and Sergio and all these people in your life that can tell you and teach you about these things. And I worked with Oscar, exactly. So I worked with him, and it was just an amazing time to get to know these people.
Incredible.
And hear those stories. So so I really got a chance to learn from all of them. So making this record was an expression of love for all of what they gave me.
The experience,
exactly,
and the exchange.
Yep.
Beautiful thing too is that you have your own studio, so you have the time to play, to listen, to fix, and to get to what you want.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell us about the times of the pandemic that. Everybody was looking for something. A lot of studio work was happening. Tell us about that.
Well, for me, during the pandemic, I was able to work on a lot of different projects, a lot of film projects, a lot of TV projects. But I also had time to work on this project, which is the most important thing, So I had time to do that. But the challenge of it was that we couldn't all be in the same space.
Right.
So so the guitar player was in Stockholm, so he was sending me stuff from Stockholm. The string players were in Manila, so they were sending me files from Manila. Yeah, so you did what you had to do to
make it sounds beautiful.
Thank you.
But you had to adapt to this non-presence type of recordings, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who plays the pandeiro here?
Oh, GB dos Santos. He's the only percussionist on the record. He
Unbelievable.
Sounds amazing.
The groove is there. GB. This is like a something Bahian, Carlinhos Brown sound. Who plays the keyboards?
On this song, it's me.
Oh, you play it. Look at you. So what are the challenges of having your own project, producing everything, playing?
The challenge is wearing a lot of different hats, that I had to do a lot of different things. You know, it's one thing to produce the record, but it's another thing to have to try to be the artist also.
Right.
So you have to know when to say
The direction.
Good. Exactly. Is that good enough? Do I need to do it again? You know, so that was a challenge. It was a real challenge.
And you have your own label.
Yes, I do.
And now you have to produce, release,
Exactly.
follow up, and see what's going on.
Exactly.
But it's a good experience.
It's a good experience.
Because you have control and
Yep.
do what you think is necessary
Exactly.
for the release.
Exactly.
Can we find out more about your releases, your career? Where can we go?
You go to my website, scottmayomusic.com,
All right.
and everything's there.
This is a wonderful tune called Você e Eu. Scott Mayo with us. We're listening to some tracks of his latest album, Meu Brasil. Scott, what about choosing these songs? Interesting. Wow. What a challenge.
Yeah.
Because you have heard so much all these years.
Yeah.
Then you went pinpointing and getting these songs.
Well, I was going to start up with just a 5-song EP, and then I ended up writing more and more original pieces.
There's no stopping
So
there.
there's no stopping yet.
Right.
Even when I was done, I felt like I wasn't done.
Do a follow-up.
Exactly.
Meu Brasil too. I suppose that there is maybe not a favorite instrument that you play, but every song, every arrangement requires a different instrument.
Yeah.
But you feel absolutely very comfortable with all of them.
I do, yeah. I do.
Is there like something that you like most that's kind of brings something back to you?
I mean, if I were to pick my favorite instrument of all the instruments I play, honestly, it's soprano saxophone.
Oh.
That's my favorite. It's so beautiful and lyrical, and I just love it. It's soft, but I can be aggressive if I need to. But yeah, I love soprano the best.
And in the U.S., what musician who played the saxophone or soprano, did you say? Soprano saxophone. Kind of a sister brother of a clarinet.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite was Wayne Shorter when I was coming. Yeah, he was the best. I
Of
loved him.
course, yeah.
It was amazing.
What is the most interesting, most challenging part of Brazilian music as you were learning and playing and writing? What is the challenge there for, let's say, an American international musician when you play Brazilian music?
I think the biggest challenge for like a lot of us, we hear the Afro-Cuban music more than Brazilian music. And Brazilian music is a very different language than the Afro-Cuban music. So I think that it's really understanding that it's its own language.
Of course, in the beginning of Bossa Nova here, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. A lot of Bossa Nova and Brazilian music was playing like Afro-Cuban music because it wasn't yet understood and took a long time for musicians to get. As a matter of fact, Sergio Mendes would bring Brazilian drummers and Brazilian musicians to record with him because early on was hard to understand.
Yeah, exactly.
A Brazilian song would become Afro-Cuban.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You picked up this song. This is a jewel in how you did. Oh my God.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Good night, my love.
Yeah.
Boa noite, amor. Wow. A Brazilian classic. Another challenge, I think, as I listen to your arrangements and your approach to the music of Brazil, is not to do too much. I think you have to be really understand the balance of things, not to go overboard and lose this essence of a song.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I named the album My Brazil, because it's the way that I feel the music, and it's the way that I wanted to share how I feel the music with the world.
And you have been to Brazil.
I have. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your experience.
I love Brazil. The first time I was there, everyone kept coming up to me and talking to me and saying, "Você já foi Bahia?"
That's funny.
And I'm still yet to go to Bahia. I really want to go to Bahia.
You haven't?
I really know. I want to go so
my
bad.
God.
I talked to Carlinhos about going down there.
Yeah.
I really want to go hang out.
If you
with
go
him.
with Carlinhos, it would be the real thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Brigas Nunca Mais tem pretty much a bossa nova tune in a samba way. As João Gilberto used to say that he played samba in a different way, not bossa, necessarily bossa nova. Tell us about the guests that you had on this. Gracinha is here.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned Dori
and Ginga.
Ginga, right?
Yeah, and Sergio Mendes and my son, Michael.
Right.
And I'm just super excited to have all them on America.
Who played the guitars in these tracks?
Most of them were played by Kleber George.
Oh, Kleber.
From Sergio's band.
Oh, beautiful.
So Kleber and Kyle Ifune, who is a friend of my son, Michael's.
Yeah.
He lives in Boston. He's from São Paulo. He's a very good guitar player.
Because the guitar is also something, an instrument that is very important in Brazilian music.
And also Marcel Camargo, who lives here in LA.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All the great
all
Brazilian
the guys,
players, yes. We are listening to tracks of the album Meu Brasil. My very special guest is Scott Mayo. Beautiful Brazilian songs and incredible feeling. Many years of playing, sharing, listening to Brazilian music.
Many years.
interesting. You played all these instruments: saxophone, clarinet, alto sax. Interesting. You playing layers, right? As the phrase by phrase. And
well, I treated it like I was producing any other record. You want to add some background vocals. You want to add. You want to layer. You want to build. So I just treated it like that.
What do you record first?
The rhythm section first. Always.
Yes.
Always. You have to start with that, and then I build on top of that.
And then the voice is the later.
And then the voice is the last.
And the last one. There's a very interesting story about this song, I think. Don't Say Goodbye.
I see the wonder in your eyes. Let the rhythm hypnotize. Let it take your mind away. Groove, let's get closer than before. Let's imagine something more. Then we'll make it real today. Don't say goodbye now. Oh, save that kiss for the moonlight.
And guess who is singing here? Don't Say Goodbye. Scott Mayo himself. I mean, wow. Tell us about Don't Say Goodbye, your relationship with John Legend, your work with John Legend, because he also recorded beautifully Don't Say Goodbye. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this song was written, Sergio and I wrote this song together at the same time as we were writing Magic.
Yes.
And so when we finished the song, he was like, who do you want to get to sing on it? And I was like, I don't know. He said, how about Stevie? I was like, yeah, you can't go wrong with Stevie Wonder. And then like a week later, he said, what about John Legend? I was like, I think that's a good idea.
Wow.
So he sent it
You
to
guys
John.
wrote the music.
We wrote the music, and then John wrote the lyrics.
And you sent the music to John Legend.
Yep, and then he showed up at the studio and literally spent like an hour and a half listening to the track and writing lyrics.
Oh, right there.
Right there in the studio. And then he sang it in the studio.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this is it.
Yeah.
Don't say goodbye, 'cause the night was made.
That's magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Sergio Mendes on piano,
Yep.
wonderful songs.
Yep.
Meu Brasil is the name of this wonderful album by Scott Mayo. I want to thank you, Scott, for stopping by,
Absolutely.
sharing all the music and your stories and thoughts. It's a real pleasure to have you with us. And let's be in touch.
Absolutely.
And keep on with the beautiful work you
I
have.
will promise. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Say goodbye, baby. Oh, save that kiss for the morning light. Till the sun comes up, baby, we'll be lost in love. Don't say goodbye, 'cause the night was made for love.